And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to episode 28 of A Star Wars Journey with Ashley and Brandi. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Brandi.
And tonight, we're finally going to be talking about The Mandalorian. It's really the whole reason we started this in the first place, right? It's because we wanted to find something to do while waiting for season 3 of The Mandalorian. And who would have thought, we're probably going to have to wait another year on top of this year waiting for season 3 to come out, but that's okay. We have plenty of Star Wars content, in store for us during that time.
It's so amazing that The Mandalorian is what started us on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've finally gotten up to it. It's so amazing to me.
I know. And it's took 11 months. So
Yes. It's taken 11 months.
It took 11 months, but it was well worth it. So,
and I remember when we were watching Phantom Menace and then Attack of the Clones and then the Clone Wars, that we were like, can you believe that we're going to be watching The Mandalorian in November or whatever? Because the same text, you've made us out a plan.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, Kevin. Kevin's in the chat.
Kevin. So remember I said I had a surprise, not to get off topic.
No.
Okay, I had a surprise. Okay. So remember how we were talking about how to show comments on the screen? I figured it out. Watch this. Hey, Kevin. All you gotta do is click this show comments button here. Who would have thought? That's simple.
Who would have thought? Exactly.
Right? So now everybody, we can see your comments and we can show them on here. So
oh my gosh, that's crazy! I love it so much.
I know. Excuse us for being so overly geeky excited, but I really don't know much about anything, and so
we're
learning this on the fly.
It's okay. We're noobs, but we're proud noobs.
Right, exactly.
Luna Girl is finishing up with Sidebar Cantina. That had a great show. I popped into the chat for a while. They were talking about 80s gadgets. And because I'm an 80s girl. And so they were talking about Atari and Super Nintendo and Nintendo. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
And so it really brought me back to this nostalgic headspace.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's the best headspace.
It's the best. And everybody should check out that episode. It's Sidebar Cantina, 80s gadgets.
Okay. That sounds fun.
It was great. That's not our shout out. That's just a bonus.
Right. So let's do the shout out because we definitely have to do this shout out.
We have to do this shout out. We've got to shout out Alan. Oh my goodness. Hey, Joker Voice. I'll talk about Joker Voice in a minute.
Joker. Okay.
We're shouting out Alan at Press Play Streaming Studios for making an amazing intro for our show. We haven't implemented it yet.
Not yet. I got to figure that out. Just figure
Ashley is super busy. She's super busy. And so she hasn't seen it yet. So as soon as she sees it, we're going to collab on it and you'll be seeing it very soon. But it's thanks to Alan at Press Play Streaming Studios.
Alan, cannot thank you enough. You are such a sweetheart,
fellow
really,
Red
to do
Fiver, awesome guy all around.
Obviously.
He does this for Red 5 streams. He'll be like he's like a video king.
Okay.
And he'll make these introductions and he'll be like, "This is something I was working on." And I'm like, "My dude, this is so awesome." And so I can't wait to show it to everybody.
And I can't wait to see it. I'm gonna try to watch it as soon as we get done here. So very cool. All right, so let's see what's up.
Hello to Joker Voice.
We got Science Fictionary. What's up? Thank you for joining us tonight. And we got Real Farm Boy. Hey guys, how you guys doing? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to be talking about The Mandalorian tonight. Something we've been waiting 11 months to revisit, and I cannot believe we haven't revisited it that whole time.
Look, and I'm so happy to see Joker Voice in the chat because Joker Voice just guested on the Salty Nerds.
Okay.
And he had a great episode there. He was a guest star.
Okay.
And then he was in a chat for another Salty Nerd broadcast. And we just started chatting. And I'm like, this guy and I are vibing so hard. And so I'm just really happy to see him. I'm really happy to see everybody, but I'm definitely happy to see Joker Boys.
Brushing off shoulders.
That's it. That's
I gotta share that
it.
comment. Sorry, I'm just really excited that I can share comments now. So all your comments
We're
are going
gonna
up
be
there.
doing it all night.
Oh yeah, that's so awesome. And Kevin has something nice to say. Taking time out of our busy lives. Yes, it's really a escapism for us, really, because I don't have anybody else to talk to about Star Wars besides you guys. So
that's right.
It's my only little escape from real life, really.
Yeah, and and not a lot of people know this, but I teach a night class, and I stay over after my night class to do the pod because my internet is so bad at home. So it is so bad. It is so terribly bad. It
was so bad that we couldn't even we used to use Anchor to record our pod, and then that kept like cutting out because the Wi-Fi was so bad. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to mail you a recorder and you can record your voice and I'll record my voice and I'll just like edit it together. Yeah. And oh my gosh, that was grueling. If I'm being completely honest.
And so
it was grueling.
So someone asked me earlier, like, well, they said they made a comment. They're like, I hate you have to stay over. And I'm like, but I'm going to be having fun. Like, this is like fun for me. So
precisely.
So yes, Kevin, it's thank you so much for being here. We enjoy it. This is a labor of love. Yeah.
Exactly. Joker Voice just said, that's when you make people talk about Star Wars. We must educate the masses. I agree. I couldn't agree with you more about that. Rovarn Boy, what does he say? This is what live chats are for Miss Ashley. Get friends to chat with. Exactly.
Yes.
I feel like when you're a mom, you lose like all your friends. Like I think like all my friends except for one have kids, which is really sad.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, before we get into the Mandalorian, you said you had some news to share.
I have some
completely
news,
blind. So,
okay. All right. Well, Patty Jenkins' Star Wars movie, Rogue Squadron, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately, that has been officially delayed.
Oh, production just delayed, not canceled.
Not canceled. But it's no longer on the schedule.
Okay. Huh.
So yeah.
Curious.
And this is probably because Patty is like really busy at the moment. She's doing Wonder Woman 3. She's doing some stuff for DC. So it's like I think it's maybe her schedule.
Okay.
So there's a rumor. It was originally slated for December 23rd, 2023.
Right.
Rogue Squadron. There's a rumor that an Old Republic movie, Star Wars Old Republic, could slide into that spot.
Okay.
So I would be down for that.
I'm pretty much down for anything. I just need continuous content. Because I'm greedy.
Keep the food pellets coming.
Precisely. I need my escapism from real life. So, let's see here. Science fiction. What is this? Star Wars movie projects have unfortunately had that is so true.
I'm still holding on for the Ryan trilogy.
Same here. Just because we really like Ryan Johnson. Sorry, guys, we do. Probably not getting made because Yeah, I actually didn't like it. the last Wonder Woman. I love Pedro Pascal, but that was about it. Like, I really didn't do it for me.
I thought Pedro really threw himself into the role. And I think he was really, really funny.
Sorry, I got to share this. Joker Voice does not share our sentiments on Ryan Johnson. But that's okay. That's okay. We all have opinions, and that's fine.
That's right. That's right. We do all have our opinions. And that's what makes the Star Wars fandom universe so diverse and so beautiful, is that there's a spot for everybody.
That's true.
So, yeah, that's exactly right. But yeah, I didn't vibe really hard with 84, Wonder Woman 84.
The first one was amazing. I love the first one.
I cried.
Yeah, I
cried
did too.
The first one. I remember watching that. Oh my God, I gotta tell this.
Yeah, do it.
I remember watching Wonder Woman. I was really like having a really bad depression night.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so and I was really struggling and I'm like, well, maybe I should watch something. And I was away. I had like taken a break, taken a ride out of the
Hmm.
house because I just couldn't deal with it. And
Hmm.
so I ended up in a McDonald's parking lot.
Okay.
And I literally streamed the movie watching it in a McDonald's parking lot. And I just remember that moment when, because I was already feeling like really, like
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
And but that movie made me feel so good. And that moment when they're dancing and there's like stars all
And
around or whatever,
yes.
I
And it started
cried.
snowing.
It's
Remember it
snow,
was
snow.
snowing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Same.
Oh, hey, little girl, used and abused.
Hey, thank you for joining us. Cyber Cantina went well, I heard. Can't wait to watch that.
So good. We just shouted them out. That was such a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back and watch the whole thing from the beginning because I missed a little bit of the first and then I caught up with it in the middle. But,
Okay.
I had a class, so.
Oh, right. But no, I share your sentiments. The part for me that I always lose it in Wonder Woman is when Steve, right? That was his
Steve,
name.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he says, "I wish we would have had more time," and then he goes, and then it was that part, and then when she sees his face of all the people that had died in the war, I don't know why, but when the camera like zooms in on him, I'm just like the tears are just streaming. I
know.
Oh gosh, it's so heartbreaking because it's based on stuff that actually happened, like not that, but people died in that war.
It was and people like were in love during that time, and
Yeah,
people
it's
people were
heartbreaking.
separated, and people reunited on the upside, and so it was really beautiful, and I love the way that they depicted the Amazonian women, that culture,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How strong and brave they are, and like what a strong sense of not culture but like strength and wisdom, and just their whole society was just awesome.
Mm-hmm. Hey, just there's a lot of people talking in the chat. I love it, but just wanted to show Alan is in the house.
Hey,
just wanted to say thank you so much for making that intro for us. We cannot wait to add it to the show. Didn't get a chance to do it tonight, but definitely next week. So Thank you again. You were a sweetheart.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But so Patty Jenkins.
And that she's super busy. So Rogue Squadron's delayed.
Okay.
I don't know if you know it or not, but this Friday, November 12th, is Disney Plus Day.
Oh, okay.
And so there's like a whole bunch of stuff coming out, and there's a rumor that we could get an Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer.
Oh, yay.
Yes.
Please, because I'm ready. I've been waiting 16 years for this now.
Yes. Book of Boba Fett was good. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, I will, anything they give me, any morsel of content from Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm
probably going to cry when I see it.
Yeah. It's going to be emotional.
So long. I've missed this guy. I've missed Obi-Wan.
I know. It's amazing. So
I hope so.
There's more trailers. Yeah, there's going to be more trailers. There's rumored to be a sizzle reel for Andor.
Okay.
So that would be exciting. And there's also going to be a documentary on Boba Fett.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Like
that's a lot of stuff.
Well, that's not even half of it. There's like a whole thing. It's just
really?
not Star Wars related. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I just didn't mention it because it's not Star Wars related. But here's something that's Star Wars related.
Okay.
Pedro Pascal was recently pictured on Instagram at Ear Candy Studios doing some voiceover work for Skywalker Sound.
Okay. Yes. Wow. Soon.
It's possible that it could be the Mandalorian. It's possible that it could be another project altogether, but he is doing voiceover stuff for Skywalker Sound.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Huh. Well, that's just great news. Here I thought that he was going to be like so wrapped up with The Last of Us, for the next several months that was going to be like put on the back burner as far as his voice work for the Mandalorian.
It might be one of those things that they said a few sessions. They said, look who stopped by the Mandalorian for a few sessions or whatever. So it might have been like a really brief thing. It might have been for a trailer. It might have been for a guest appearance on Book of Boba Fett. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But that's exciting.
a lot of buzz in the chat for Ahsoka. Anything from Ahsoka, I would love to see.
Gosh, yes. I'm
looking forward to Friday. I hope Friday is like Christmas.
Same. Really, it's gonna be. And I just cannot wait until 2022 because like we're gonna be so much closer to seeing all of this stuff. So that we've been waiting so long for.
Yes, exactly.
So very cool.
Okay, so this came from Ro, our fearless leader, Ro, from Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. He tagged me on Twitter for this, or tagged us. And this is, the Padme Amidala book, A Queen's Hope. We covered it in the news section. Well, there's a lengthy excerpt available on the internet. And the excerpt is so good. Because, this book is about her, relationship with Anakin and their love. And, so Ro, knows what we like and knows what we're into, and so he tagged us, and I read it, and it's Padme reflecting on her newfound happiness and her secret relationship with Anakin, and it was really good. I
gotta read this book. Do you know if that's on like audiobooks at all or Audible?
I'm sure it will be, yeah.
Okay, because that's probably the only way I'd ever be able to actually read it. But that sounds like right up my alley. Like I would really love to read that. And thanks to Ro for tagging us in that, for thinking of us.
Yes, absolutely. Also, he just recently collabed with Alan on an intro for Rogue One Radio, which is another Red 5 podcast. And I just heard that before going live. And Ro was like so good in it. He did a whole voiceover, like A New Hope. Like they had Alan had the scrolling words.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
I can't wait to hear that. That's awesome.
I can't wait to see it on the show.
Sweet.
So here's another little tidbit, not to take up too much time, but
no, it's okay.
Bill Burr, we love Bill Burr.
I love Bill Burr.
He was quoted as being not allowed to say anything as to whether or not he would be in season 3.
I did see something about that.
Yes.
So
not allowed to say anything sounds really hopeful to me.
Me too, because like if he wasn't in it, he could just come right out and say that I'm not in it. But I do know that, Favreau specifically picked him out for his, comedic element that he could bring to the show. And he just thought, people would get a kick out of it. And he, Bill, he's enjoying the show. He's enjoying being on the show. It's the biggest show out there. So, he'd be stupid not to come back for season 3. So I don't know. To me, it makes sense. Miggs Mayfield's a free man now. And I'm sure Din could use his help one way or another.
I would love to see him on the show. He was just so good.
He's just so good. And again, the last episode that he was in, just, my gosh, phenomenal. That character growth in the span of like 30 minutes. It was incredible.
It was amazing.
So,
so the last bit of news we've got is Matt Smith. Now, Doctor Who and Crown fans are going to know him. Matt Smith was one of the doctors, right? Chat will tell me if I'm wrong. But he was one of the doctors. They change. I'm not a Whovian, but I totally respect the fandom.
Okay.
But Matt Smith was a doctor, and he recently appeared on a podcast, and he talked about. Now, this was something I was not aware of, but he was supposed to play a major role in Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, really?
And that role was written out. And it was rumored that he would play either the son of Palpatine or like a young Palpatine, but he didn't specify any of this. That was just a rumor.
Okay.
But he did say that he had never said before was that it was a big role. And it would have been a, quote, major shift in the franchise.
Wow.
So I'm kind of like sad that we missed that because, I mean, that just goes to show you what a cluster Rise of Skywalker was in the writing room. Because they wrote whatever part it was. That, I mean, he never did any screen tests. He never did any shooting.
Really?
He was in discussions.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say to all of that. Like, that's disappointing that I guess that he was written out.
It's disappointing. I mean, I would have loved to see what he would have brought to the franchise. I mean, he seemed bummed about it, that he missed out.
Well, yeah. I mean, can you blame him?
I mean, it's Star Wars.
Right? Exactly. I know. I want to share this comment from Joker Voice. Oops, not that one.
Yeah, thank you, though. He is the 11th Doctor.
But so season 3 should be about reclaiming Mandalore and the conflict between Din and Jar Jar, and I 100% agree. Like, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. To be honest, I'm nervous because I really like Bo-Katan for the most part, but she really has got entitlement issues. And, if she didn't win that black saber fair and square, like, I feel like you got to let that go. Because you really want that to be in the best hands. And I actually think the person that doesn't want to rule is the best leader, because there's no agenda. There's
the reluctant leader.
The reluctant leader I always feel is the best leader, and that person would be Din, even though he wants nothing to do with it. But yes, wholeheartedly agree with you completely about that. Yes. Joker Voice. So, anyways, getting back to, is there any other news or
no, that's it. That's all I have. Okay. Yeah.
That was still a lot. Definitely
looking forward to Disney Plus Day.
Same here. That's going to be exciting. Okay. Luna girl, I can't spell tonight. I can't spell ever, hun, so it's okay. I don't know what I'd do without Brandi here.
I don't know.
She's my go-to. Like, I don't know how to say this word.
I'm like obsessive about that though, especially when we were remember when we were recording like separately.
Yes.
So I would in the news, like I would watch those YouTube videos on how to say this person's name,
right?
Just so I wouldn't make an ass of myself because I hate that.
I know, and I do it anyway, just because I always do. But oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, so I have a question before we get into The Mandalorian. So we started right at the beginning with season 1, episode 1. Did the extended universe ever talk about Mandalore, the Mandalorians? Did you have any kind of background knowledge at all? Because I had nothing.
I don't remember reading about. If I read about Mandalore, it was a long time ago when I was like a teenager.
Okay.
The most of my expanded universe experience is like with Luke and the New Jedi Academy, and with Mara Jade and Thrawn and all that stuff. So I didn't have any like prerequisite knowledge.
See, I didn't either. So it's like when I saw like advertisement for The Mandalorian and the title, I'm thinking, well, that sounds Star Wars like, but I'd never heard of Mandalorian before. And the only thing that I, recognized was the fact that Din's helmet looks very similar to Boba Fett's.
Well, now I did know that Boba Fett was a Mandalorian. I did know that.
You did know that? Yes. Because I didn't. I didn't even know that.
I knew that Boba Fett was a Mandalorian, that he was from Mandalore. Well, I guess I did know some shit. So he was from I forgot. I mean, I forgot all this. So I knew that Boba Fett.
Is that covered in the extended universe? Because I don't remember that from any of the original trilogy.
It is. Like, it's something that I picked up, like reading something or whatever. Okay. But I did know that he was a Mandalorian. Okay. I knew that his armor was really important to him. Didn't know why. And I knew his ship was named Slave One. And, they've renamed it in canon, but it's Slave One in my heart.
Mine too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the extent of my knowledge, though. That's all I knew.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because I completely went into this show blind, and I'm grateful for it because I figure they covered so much of the background of Mandalore for those of us like we were that had not seen Clone Wars or any of that. So I see a rural farm boy. He says Star Wars Legends spoke its piece in the Republic Commando stories. So I'm not sure if you had read that yourself, Brandi, but maybe that's where you picked up on it.
And Joker Voice just mentioned that Boba's not a Mandalorian. That's actually right.
Yeah.
He's just wearing the armor.
He's wearing the armor. Right. Exactly. But yeah, so we had not seen Clone Wars or Rebels, as Luna Girl just mentioned. So I went into this completely blind when I first saw this for the first time. But yeah, so I was just curious about that, if you had any background.
No, very little.
Yeah. So, just how they introduce Din as this badass, tough as nails, ruthless fighter, who really has one motivation to catch these guys and make money. Really thought they established that very well.
They did, yeah.
In the first episode, he's just cold and, just wants to make money. I just love the fact that it took this sweet looking, green baby alien to just melt his heart.
I know.
Like, guys, that's my aesthetic. I just love that.
So I love how they established him as, like you said, cold, calculating, remote. You could tell that he was really had no joy in his life whatsoever. He just was going from job to job. He was like nomadic.
Yeah,
and
completely.
It really, like, they just established that so well. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I mean, he doesn't even say anything until he says, I can bring you in hot, I can bring you in cold, or
that's
warm
right.
or cold, whatever.
I love how selective he is when he does talk, because I forget the guy's name, but he just wouldn't shut up, and he just says nothing like the whole time. Like if I was talking and no one was saying anything, I would just shut up, But yeah, so I love how they really establish him. He's just out to make money and collect his bounties.
Yeah.
And
I do want to tell Joker Voice, we have seen Rebels and Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We've seen them.
Yeah. No. So this is what the whole journey's been about, because if it hadn't been for the Mandalorian introducing us to all of these characters, like Ahsoka was really the main motivation, wouldn't you say, for watching Clone Wars, because learning her backstory and everything.
So we went back and we learned it all in canon. So
exactly. We've been doing that all this year.
We hadn't seen it when we watched The Mandalorian for the first time.
Right, exactly. We have now. Yeah. So we're going into this now with all this new knowledge that we have, which I'm grateful for.
It's really cool. Yeah.
It is.
It adds so much to the experience.
It really does. So one of the other things that I really loved that they put in the first episode was the established hate that Din clearly has for the Empire. Like so much more that he's not even willing to take their money. Like, I respect that totally, you know?
And not to skip ahead or anything, but when Mando takes the money for the bounty on Baby Yoda or Grogu, whatever, and then he rescues him later, he doesn't return the armor. I mean the signets, the signets of Beskar. Yeah. And so and I had to reconcile that. I'm like, well, that's kind of like blood money. But I'm like, you know what? It actually belongs with the Mandalorians, because that Beskar was stolen during the Great Siege.
Exactly. Yep.
And so it belongs with him. So he was just taking it back to where it belongs.
Precisely. I agree with you completely. That I struggled with that when I first saw that. I'm like, oh, so he's taking the money and now he's taking the bounty back. But at the end of the episode, I was over it because I was just happy that Grogu was back with him.
Did we notice Luke is frozen in carbonite? I didn't.
Lucas isn't what? Really? Oh, I'm going to go back and watch that. That's cool. I love that. Oh my gosh. And here I thought I had caught everything.
That's awesome. We were paying attention too.
Right? I know. Oh. Okay, so if anybody in the chat can let us know, because we didn't know the answer or what the name of it was, but the doorbell droid, remember the one that we saw in it was
Return of the Jedi.
It was in Return of the Jedi, and then it was in this one. When I saw that thing, I was just like, oh, they have the doorbell droid. That's so
cool. I call it the doorbell droid.
Yeah, so if it has the official name, please let us know in the comments so that we know for future reference.
And it's the facial identification droid. Yeah. It's like, looks like an orb, and it comes out, and it's like, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah. But I got so excited when I saw that. I remember when I was watching this for the first time, I remember like comparing it to Rogue One, like the attention to detail, you know, to the time that this was taking place. Like they had everything. So I was just like really getting sucked in when I saw that doorbell droid. Again, the armor was so cool to see again. I'm really hoping we see her in season 3. I was sad we didn't see her in season 2.
I love the armorer. I can't believe we didn't see her in season 2 because I have such strong memories of her. She made such an impression on me. I love her armor out of everybody's, including Mando's. I love her armor the best. It's got like the fur and her helmet.
Yeah, her fur is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amazing. I love when at the very beginning we see the Kowakian monkey lizards.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and he's watching his friend be like turned on the spit.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Like, that was something else that I saw. I'm like,
cute. Yeah, it's such a good reference to Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
I mean, it's not derivative. It's like a nice shout out. It's like coming home.
And I just appreciated that when I saw it for the first time because, you know, this was taking place immediately after the Return of the Jedi. I would expect to see that, you know, and so they crammed it in and I loved all of it. Yeah, again, I just I put a comment in here. I still cannot believe when we are watching this that these are all mostly screens that we're watching. You know, I still can't get over that. Like, I'm normally really good at telling the difference between like CGI and if it's, you know, not in a real space, but I still can't tell the difference with this show.
I can't tell when the volume is used and when it's practical.
And I'm glad for it, but it's
and they say I've heard the actors when they were talking about like filming in the volume, it says it helps them become more immersed in the environment.
Yep, I agree. Anything again to help the performance, I appreciate.
Yeah, I think, and I didn't mention this when we had our discussion, but I love the buildup of suspense that we get from the bounty on Baby Yoda, Grogu.
Yes.
And how he's like, Grief Karga is like, well, there is one, but there's no Pug.
No Puck.
Yeah, and then it builds the suspense in the audience, because it's like what is this? Because we didn't know anything about Grogu at this point.
Nothing.
When we first saw
but it was a big deal if the Empire wanted him.
Yes. And he's 50 years old, and you're like, oh, okay. And so immediately you think of a humanoid, 50-year-old man or woman, whatever. So it's really, I love that. And then they continue to build the suspense when Din meets Quill.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And Quill's like, they've been through here and they've wreaked havoc trying to find this bounty and all this stuff. And he's like, I help you. I have spoken.
Right. And then finding out that IG was also hired to find this thing. So it's not just Din. And I'll get back to that point in a moment because there's, in episode 2, we find out there's even more bounty hunters after this thing. And so that really starts to make Din wonder, like, what is this thing?
And motivated by the money.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So Joker Voice said, be sure to watch the docuseries, The Gallery. I have, and it
is so good.
Phenomenal. I think I've watched it like 3 times, and the
season 2 one was even better than the first one.
Oh, the season 2 one, where they talked about Mark Hamill. I cried almost as hard as I did watching the season 2 finale because just a level of care that they put into this, every little detail, bringing Mark Hamill on, having him act it out. I mean, just the level of respect and reverence they have for him and, the part he played in Star Wars. I love Favreau. I love Filoni. They're just godsends to us.
Absolutely.
In the Star Wars fandom.
And can we just talk about the score for a minute?
Yes.
Because the score is such a jam.
It is.
When it comes on, I'm just like.
Yes. And I love Din's theme too, like you get that little feel of like a Western, kind of thing. And I dig that totally.
It's so great. His swagger and just his demeanor. And I love that first bounty. I don't know his species. Like I don't know
no, I don't either.
But I'm not a very good nerd right now, but someone in the chat will tell me.
Right. But I'm the worst nerd ever, so that's why I rely on you guys.
He's so funny, and he's like, I was hoping to make it home by Life Day or something, and that's Life Day again because I'm obsessed with Life Day, and and so he's like I haven't evacuated since the solstice. And it was like so freaking funny.
I laughed when he said that.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't know, And so, but Dan knew from the very beginning what he was up to. That he was just like looking for a way off the ship or to hide out or whatever. I don't know what his plan was. Like, what was his plan?
Yeah, what is your plan when you're flying in the middle of space? How exactly are you going to get out? There's no escape pod. What are you like, dude? Just give it up. You've lost. I got to highlight this comment because yes, that whole long monologue that Dave went on for 8 minutes. I remember when I had no idea who Dave Filoni was. Okay, because when I watched this for the first time, I had not seen Clone Wars. I had not heard of Dave Filoni, and here this guy in a cowboy hat is talking about Star Wars, and I'm just like, who is this guy?
Like he gets
it. He gets it. Yes, like he's speaking my thoughts right now, like in such an eloquent, way.
It's
like
amazing.
I just love that guy.
I know. I love him.
I love the fact that he's the creative director of Lucasfilm. Like that is so appropriate to me.
Yes.
So
his eyes are going to be on everything that comes out of there.
Everything. If it's got his stamp of approval, I'm happy. So, what were we talking about?
We were talking about the score,
right?
And we were talking about we talked about Quill, and I love where he finds the IG unit, IG 88 or whatever, the bounty droid,
which I loved. Can we talk about the scene where Din and IG meet and they decide to combine forces to fight off these guys, and IG thinks that they're losing, and so he's constantly trying to self-destruct.
He's repeatedly trying to self-destruct.
And Din is like, stop it.
Just stop.
Right. That was so funny. I love that part.
IG-11. Okay.
IG-11. Thank you.
Thank you, Real Farm Boy.
Thank you, Real Farm Boy. I just enjoy that whole thing, that whole interaction between those two, and I was so happy to see that IG returns, and that's an interesting character development for Din as well.
My gosh,
the thing with the droids that was established very early.
His inherent prejudice against droids, and there's got to be a story there. Like I want the story behind that.
Well, we did see a story. I don't think we saw it. We didn't see it in the first episode. I don't think it was in the second episode. But you do find out the reason why.
I don't remember that.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, you will.
I'll be surprised.
Okay. It's a good one, and it will explain everything. So. But yeah, I really enjoyed the first episode. I really enjoyed his whole interactions with Quill. And I'm still not over Quill's death, to be honest with you. And
the blurgs. I love the blurgs.
The blurgs, yes.
Yeah.
I love how, he had to work hard and overcome, the blurgs to be able to learn to ride one.
And I love how Quill shamed him.
Yes.
How he was like, your ancestors rode the great mythosaur.
Mythosaur, right?
Like you can't ride this blurg.
Right. So that's what did it for him. That's what did it for him. First episode rocked. Then we get into the second one. And I remember when I watched the second one, I thought it was a little I don't know, it was kind of slow, even though, and I'm talking about the very first time I've ever seen it, but obviously towards the end, I was just like, oh, this is the best episode ever. But I really enjoyed seeing all of the Jawas, and just seeing Din try to get his stuff back from his ship and everything. That was that was entertaining to watch. But the one thing I want to stress, though, in the very beginning is going back to how Din is starting to discover that he's not the only bounty hunter going after Grogu, or, you know, trying to bring Grogu in. There are others. And here he comes across even more bounty hunters that are trying to kill him, you know, because then you see the fob, and I love how the camera like slowly zooms in on Grogu. And you're like, what is so important about this thing?
Yeah.
You know, and you can tell he's thinking, you know. So I really, Steve. Oh, hey, Steve. Hey. So I really love how that is sort of being teased to the audience a little bit. Like there's going to be a big reveal, which there was. And
it's so sad to me, like how they had the hood on his pram closed.
Yes.
And it really, like, these people that had Grogu didn't seem like the nurturing type. And so it's like they probably fed him the bare minimum, gave him the bare minimum amount of light, gave him no contact. I mean, it's so, it was really, and that was the first thing that Dan did instinctually, was stick his finger out and touch him.
Who would have thought that he would do that, considering what we had known about him up to this point? Like, it's just a job. But no, he actually did. And you noticed when we were watching how when they were walking through the, I don't know, what would you consider that space they were in? It was like the bottom of a canyon or something.
It's like a ravine.
Or something, yeah. But when they were walking through that, you made a comment that he kept it open so that Grogu
so he could see
around. Yeah,
and like, he was looking around. His big eyes were so sweet.
Yeah, like that's probably the most he's seen in years. So the fact that he had the instinct to do that, I just
because he could have kept it closed. And in fact, the only time he closed it was when he kept trying to get out. Exactly. And so he probably did it for his own safety.
Precisely. Yep. So yeah, I just appreciate those little things, you know, because it's peeling back the onion to his character, you know, and you're seeing who he is on the inside, and you know. So let's see here. I love the whole Mudhorn scene, just even though it's really painful to watch him get beat up and you think he's gonna die.
It's a really powerful scene.
Yeah, it was. And that's actually based on a real creature. I don't know if anybody realized that. I saw a picture that is actually a real creature that it's like a prehistoric creature that they brought to life for that. Yeah.
That's cool. That's scary.
it is. I know, right? So yeah, the whole reveal, how Grogu is actually force sensitive, and he was able to stop it. And now you see Din starting to connect the dots and stuff. Although he doesn't have any sense of the Force at this point. He doesn't know what that is, right? He doesn't know anything about Jedis either. I don't think he's ever heard the word of a Jedi. So that was interesting to sort of see him like notice that.
And I think what it did to, in my opinion, is that it made him look at him as more than a bounty, because now he owes his life to him. But how is that going to work with him being a bounty? So it's kind of
the conflict is already starting. You know,
it's
Joker Voice
his thought process.
I want to share a comment Joker Voice just mentioned here. Not that one. Hi, Charles. Good evening. So Joker Voice says he's a foundling as well. A displaced child will always get his attention. That's a really good point. Never even thought of that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yes, exactly.
Yep, because he even said, I think it's a child when Quill asked about him. So he already has sympathy for a young child. But what did you think? Did you notice the music that they played when Grogu is trying to hold back the Mudhorn is very similar to, would you say that's Luke Skywalker's theme? Would you say? It's just
it was very
I don't know how to describe it. It's very similar.
Yeah.
But it gave me like total feels, like chills hearing it.
It was similar yet unique.
It was
something we've heard before, but it was still fresh.
Yeah. And I love that. I love how there's like a feeling of familiar, but it's still different. So Yeah, so that was really cool. Oh, I have to mention how I love how Din gets pissed off at the Jawas for making fun of his Jawa speech, and he says, "Do you understand this?" And he brings out his
I
flamethrower.
know.
I'm honestly, I got to go back, but I want to do a tally of how many times Din throws out the flamethrower at any minor inconvenience.
It's
because
the
it's his go-to. It's so funny.
It's kind of like his middle finger.
It precisely, exactly.
I mean, it's like,
a middle finger
what? To take this.
Right, exactly. He uses it so much, and I love it. It makes me want one. So yeah, I thought it was sweet at the end, though, after, Grogu uses the Force to stop the Mudhorn, how he falls asleep and how concerned he looks.
He's really concerned.
Yeah. And
he keeps looking back at him, and
that was the point when I watched it for the first time that, I was already like really kind of hooked already, but that was the point that got me. I'm like, okay, I see where they're going with this show. They're going to develop some sort of like father-son relationship. Like, and I'm totally here for this.
I remember the aesthetic of the show sucked me in immediately.
Yeah.
And I knew I'm going to watch this because that guy's dressed like Boba Fett, and Boba Fett kicks ass. And so I'm definitely going to watch this. So that was like my first impressions.
Same.
And so when it started, I'm like, this is like unlike anything I've ever seen.
Right.
And it really just hit all the right notes for me.
Completely. It was perfect.
It was perfect. I hold The Mandalorian in such high regard.
Me too. Same.
But I also hold Loki in such high regard.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm counting on you to sort of take over with the discussion of Loki, because you were just like so, like, you notice everything with that show. Like, some things I'm just like,
I don't know if I notice everything with that show.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, so fair warning to everybody. After we finish up on episode 2 of The Mandalorian, we're going to get into Loki, and because Brandi's been waiting a long time for this.
It's an after party.
We're going to call it the after party, and we're probably going to have to make a new intro for that too. But
that's right, Alan. Get to work.
But Brandi's been waiting for this for a long time, and she's been waiting for me too to watch it with her. So finally got around to it last night.
It was so good. It was so good.
It is. Is there anything else, I guess, about episode 2 of The Mandalorian that you want to add, or?
No, I love the egg. I think that
the egg.
And then the fact that they freaking ate it. Like, that's what they wanted, was to eat it.
Right.
They weren't gonna like worship it. They weren't gonna sell it.
Try to sell it. They wanted to eat it.
They wanted to eat it. So
right.
Like a treat.
Exactly.
He went through all of that, and he was just like, you could see the
almost
resignation.
Killed. Yes.
Yeah, and he's just like, wow. Okay. So,
my kids got a kick out of that, actually, when they watched that episode with me, and they were just like, ew, what are they eating? Because it's like raw egg.
I know, right? And it's stringing, like the way they made it, like in the FX department, it looks like a yolk. I mean, it
really looks like yolk. And I'm so glad I mentioned, well, that's what your eggs look like in the morning before I scramble them up for you guys.
That's right.
So
Don't mention that.
I won't mention that. They'll never eat eggs again for me. But that was pretty gross.
Yeah,
but awesome.
It was awesome.
So yeah, I can't wait for the next episode. I think that's the sin.
And, like, I was actually bummed that we didn't watch more, because like I'm used to like the schedule with Rebels and Clone Wars.
I know.
We just banged them out.
I know.
And we watched like 4 episodes a night. And
at one point it was like 6, 7 a night, remember?
Clone Wars was like 6, 7 a night.
6, 7 a night.
We really like dedicated ourselves to get through that. But with
this, I want to milk it, because remember how long we waited to get to the original trilogy, and then we finally got there, and then it's gone. Like, it's done.
Yeah, we want to drag it out.
I sort of want to drag it out a little bit. Yeah. But I know what you mean. Like, every time the episode is over, I want to watch the next one. I was completely sucked in with this show. It's addicting.
It's totally addicting.
It's addicting, and I love it. Oh, Joker Voice was sharing. I don't know how to pronounce his show. I'm gonna butcher it. Rick Famuyiwa directed this episode along with episode with Bill Burr. Oh, okay, in season 1 and 2. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so yeah, we'll cover then episodes 3 and 4 on the next pod. But now we're gonna move on to Loki. Are you ready?
Yes,
we're at the after party now. So we're going to talk about episode 2 of Loki. We watched episode 1. It was a couple months ago, right?
We actually covered it in a podcast with Tiffany.
That's right. That's right. We did. You're right. So
in an episode. I don't know the episode number, but
I don't. I'd have to find it and dig it up. But Luna Girl's ready for Loki.
Yeah, she's watching it for the first time, and we have not talked about it.
Okay. All right. Well, Luna Girl, please share your thoughts as we're talking. So this is episode 2. Oh, Joker doesn't like Loki. Well, Brandi loves Loki.
That's okay. We want to hear your perspective too. That's okay.
Right. That's okay.
When I tell you,
he's gonna get salty. I gotta share that.
That's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
We can take that.
We're here for it. We can take it.
Yeah.
So Hannah likes the Loki. We got some Loki fans in the house. It's all good.
That's right.
I'm gonna try not to look at Joker's comments and laugh as you're talking about how much you love it.
Well, okay. This is the thing. And I won't talk about episode 1.
Okay.
I'm trying to divide them in my mind because what we saw last night. Episode 2 is where we really start to see the relationship between Loki and Mobius develop.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think the casting on this show was it's so unparalleled. The world building. I love the set design. I love everything about it.
Right.
But when I first saw it, it took me a while to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, it wasn't the Loki that I was used to, and so I'm like, okay, so this is when he had the Tesseract in that movie, and this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, so all right, what is the TVA? And so I was confused, I was all, Alan loves Loki. Great.
I was going to say, we got a shout out to Alan. He's going to bed, but thank you so much for joining us, Alan. Thank you for the intro, and we're glad you like Loki too. No, Brandi is. So thank you so much, Alan.
Yeah, I totally agree with Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes is my favorite character.
Miss Minutes, yes.
Yes, because she sounds like me. And so
she does. I'm sorry, but she does.
She's got an accent just like me. And so she's like, "Hey, y'all." And I say that all the time because I'm from the South.
Exactly.
So I loved that. I love that Mobius trusts Loki more than anyone else in the TVA. And he trusts him reluctantly. And I love what I love about episode 2 is their little competition with finding the variant.
The variant.
And really who the variant is. This episode was really about who is the variant. Mm-hmm. And where are they?
Right.
So it was really clever how I like the little shout outs that they put in there, like when Loki was reading his file, because that's the only one they would give him at the library.
Right.
And they're like, he's like, I want, all of this stuff. And they're like, that's classified. This is what you can have. And it was basically the story of his life.
Right.
And so when he was reading about the destruction of Asgard, you could see in his eyes, because, Loki's a villain, but he's a villain that we love to hate. I mean, we love Loki. Yeah. I love Loki. I think Loki is, just like that sad little boy that Mobius described. Yeah. He's like this lost little boy. And, he was, completely raised on the wrong end of the stick by Odin.
Yes.
Because Odin clearly favored Thor.
Thor is the golden boy.
That's right.
Literally.
And so it affected, all of that affected him. So I think Loki is a villain made, not born. But anyway, so I loved when he was reading about the destruction of Asgard, and you could see the emotion in his face. And then he goes and interrupts Mobius's lunch. And Mobius is like, I told you not to bother me until you read all the files. And he's like, I read them or whatever, and I figured it out. And I just think it was appropriate that Loki is the one to figure out the variant and where the variant is, because the variant is a Loki.
Precisely. So he would do the same thing.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
And I love that he destroyed the lunch. Like he was like, like, this is the Hulk.
Yep.
This is Ragnarok. And Mobius is sitting there thinking, this is my lunch.
Right.
This is so.
It's just really important that I explain this to you, because this is how we're going to save the sacred timeline by finding the Loki.
And that one guy that he tortured because he told him he was going to skin him like a fish. And he's like, what is a fish? And in the first episode, he stole that guy's juice box.
Oh, that's right.
So that was the same guy, and the guy was like, not you again. So and I love that. I'm just rambling right now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, that's good.
I love that they went to this is the episode where they went to Pompeii.
That's one of my favorite parts.
I love when he freed the goats.
And he's throwing stuff around like, none of this matters. You're all gonna die.
You're all gonna die. Eat your last meal.
You know what's really awful of me? This is so terrible, but I really wish that were possible to like go back in time and witness these historical events that we read about and stuff.
Oh, I know it. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds awful to say, like, I want to watch, like, a volcano, like, kill a bunch of people, but
it was like of a society. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I know that's awful of me, but it's like an historical thing. It would be so neat to like go back in time and witness stuff like that. But anyways, I enjoyed that whole scene. It was hilarious.
It was hilarious. And how he's freed the goats. He's like, goodbye, my little horned friends, be free.
Right.
And he's like, I bring dark tidings.
Bring dark tidings, right? Exactly. Not good tidings. Yeah.
No, I bring dark tidings. And he said it with a smile.
Yes,
which is classic Loki.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that they visited. I always love, of course, Alabama's. I live in Alabama.
Yeah.
And Alabama suffers from so many Hollywood stereotypes.
Oh, really?
But yeah. But this one, no stereotype, was available for this one, because we do have hurricanes on the coast,
right?
And they have the potential to wipe out a society. So I love that they went to Alabama. I always love it when we get a shout out. I love the store. I just think that the store, like the way they designed the set design, I just think it was really slick, because this happens in, is it 2052?
2050.
2050. Okay.
Yep.
And so I love how they haven't envisioned drastic changes to society.
Yeah, I'm glad of that, because you watch other films that depict like 2020 and there's like cars are flying and stuff, and it's like
that's
it's 2020
in the 50s,
right?
Science fiction in the 50s, they thought by now we would be flying around like the Jetsons,
right? Yeah, but I thought this is more realistic in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it was they had like a mechanical dog, and there's mechanical dogs now. Little.
That's true. They are.
They call them like gigapets or whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I love that, and I love the bait and switch that we experienced with the big reveal of Sylvie.
Yes, that was cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed her going into like different people, so you really don't know what she looks like yet. I really enjoyed that, getting to know her through other people that she was, possessing at the time.
And, I think watching this episode, back when they, because I love at the beginning where they open and it's like 1985 in a Renaissance fair. I just think that's hilarious.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And so it's the I Need a Hero scene, which I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
The first person she embodies is a woman. And so, and the guy's like, "What are you doing?" And it's one of the TVA people. And she's like, "I'm having some fun." And I think that that's the first bit of foreshadowing that we see that Sylvie's going to be a woman.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's the first person that we see her embody.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I didn't pick up on that.
I was thinking about that when I watched it, but I didn't say anything.
Okay.
But I love that Sylvie is not here for anything Loki has to say. And she has her own agenda.
Yeah.
And I love the small comedic moments, like when this big good old boy, as we would call him down here in Alabama, comes out with the camo and the vest, and he's enormous.
Yes.
And he knocks the hell out of Loki.
Yeah, he does.
And Loki's like, "I miss Randy."
Right.
Because Randy was like this normal sized dude. And,
right. Yes.
And it just, Loki's just so funny. And like, I think I remember asking you, was this show always this funny?
Because gosh, there's so many lines. There's so many lines.
It's so many lines.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I love the big reveal. I love that he went after her. I think he was immediately intrigued that this is, because Loki is very conceited. Because he's a Loki.
Yep.
And so I think he was immediately intrigued by meeting another version of himself. And so I think immediately he's like, I need to know more about this person because this is like learning more about me.
Yeah. I think that's something maybe we all could relate to. I mean, if you had met another version of yourself or myself, it's like, yeah, I would love to know more about you.
With them. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I would want to, talk to them as much as I could. And, even if they were like, kind of like an ass, I would really, I would kind of really want to like really know more about them. So I think for Loki, it's at first it's just pure intrigue. He's just
and curiosity.
He's just curious. Yeah. And plus he wants to get away from the TVA, and he wants a partner.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So it's really a win-win-win to go after her. So I got excited when I saw that he runs through that door after her, because I thought, he had spent enough time with Mobius. Here's a really interesting character. I'd really like to see these two get to know each other and see where that goes. So obviously, next episode is the one I'm really looking forward to. I think you remember what happens. Where we really get to know a little bit more about Sylvie, and, a lot of what she's doing is starting to make sense, at least to me.
Joker's talking about Daredevil in the chat, and I do want to say that I love Daredevil.
I loved Daredevil, loved Jessica Jones, at least the first season. I couldn't get into the season 2 for some reason, but the first season I thought was like perfect. And Punisher. Yes. I loved all of those shows. So yes. And Joker voice doesn't think it's funny. Sorry. But I do. I think there's some good lines.
Yeah, it's the writing was really, I love how playful they made Loki. I just, because he's the god of mischief. It's so perfect. Yeah. And what was really, and we had this conversation last night. We talked about how they were saying with Mobius was talking about his place in the TVA and how there's nothing outside of the TVA. Yes. And he's like, think about where you come from. And he's like, I was born of a frost giant raised by Odin. And he's like, listen to what you just said. How crazy that sounds. Right. And he's like, but it's real. It's true. And so Mobius is like, so why can't you believe that I was just born here at the TVA? And of course we know later that that's proven, but I mean, I just thought that was a really profound moment. That, our origin stories sound ridiculous to anybody, regardless of culture. across cultures, they all sound odd.
That is true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And kind of going off of that just a little bit, when Mobius was talking about how did he actually say he loves the TVA, but he says he believes in the TVA.
He
I know
believes
he
in the
said that.
TVA.
And he really, feels like this is important and what they're doing. And that's like the only thing that matters. It really made me feel so sad knowing what we know, because, that's going to be revealed to not be the case.
Right.
So hearing that was a little painful for me, just knowing what he's going to find out. So yeah, little bit of a spoiler alert, Luna girl. I don't know how far you are, but there's some.
I forgot that.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I got to be careful about what we say a little bit.
Yeah.
But I didn't give too much away. So,
but that's really my thoughts on episode 2. I just thought that them finding out with the kablooey gum, I thought that was like interesting. It's like they found out through that, like she was in that supermarket in Alabama for the hurricane coming, and I just thought it was really smart. It's just smart.
Yeah, and I really loved how that episode, it really focused a good portion of the episode just really kind of mapping out Mobius and Loki's relationship. You're just wondering, like, is it possible a friendship could emerge from this, a relationship of mutual respect? Because it seemed like, at first these two are just kind of like stuck together, like they have to work together to be able to find this variant.
And those are the best relationships.
Right, exactly. But they make it work.
Yeah.
And so it was really interesting. A lot was explored, and definitely getting, excited to see the rest of it unfold, especially next episode. Next one's going to be very shipper heavy, just mourning, because we ship Sylvie and Loki. We're just going to come out and say it. So it's probably from the next one on, it's going to be like, oh, did you see the way he looked at her? And you see how she said this to him? And we're pathetic shippers, to say the least. That's what we...
pathetic.
Was it the last pod, or was it just a conversation with you when we were talking about shipping?
Remember it was the last pod. It was the last pod.
Was it the last pod? Okay,
we were talking about the container ships out in the in the ports, and the news person said, we need shippers. And I was like,
yeah.
So my brain clicked into place with that.
Well, just like mine at my old job, when I'm in the receiving room and someone was saying to another coworker, oh, I wouldn't ship that. And I almost turned and I said, wouldn't ship who? Like, if you're not familiar with the concept of shipping, that might be very disturbing to say. Like talking about shipping a human being in a box or something. Yeah. So anyways, this was good stuff. But if you don't have anything else to add, I think we can conclude for the night.
Yeah.
I thought we had a really great discussion. It was so great.
Love the chat. The
chat was awesome. You guys are so great. Thank you so much thank you for joining us tonight. You, as I said many, many times, you guys make Mondays bearable for me. So give me something to look forward to. So next week, we're going to talk about episode 3 and 4 of The Mandalorian. And then we will be on episode 3 of Loki.
Yep.
So I hope you all join us again next week. So thank you again. And as always, may the Force be with you. Bye, guys.